The flashlight slipped from Tyler's hand and crashed onto the dusty floor. The light spun wildly across the hallway. And for one terrible second, we all saw her. A woman standing at the end of the hallway inside the abandoned house. Her head tilted strangely. Her long hair covered most of her face. But not enough to hide her smile. It was too wide. Too still. Too wrong. Run! Tyler screamed. We turned and bolted toward the front door. The floorboards shook beneath our feet. Behind us, something started moving fast through the darkness. Not walking. Crawling. The sound echoed through the old house. Scratch. 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 Like fingernails dragging across wood. I looked back for half a second. Big mistake. The woman was gone. But something else was now crawling across the ceiling above us. Its arms bent the wrong way. Its eyes reflected the flashlight beam like an animal. And it was smiling. Still smiling. Mason reached the front door first. He grabbed the handle and pulled. Nothing. It won't open, he shouted. What? I yelled. We came through this door. Tyler slammed his shoulder against it. Bang! The door didn't move. Behind us, the scratching got louder. Closer. The air inside the house suddenly felt freezing cold. Then, we heard a child laughing upstairs. A soft little laugh. Like a kid playing hide-and-seek. Except there shouldn't have been anyone inside that house. The lights from our flashlights flickered. The crawling sound stopped. Everything became quiet. Too quiet. And then, a voice whispered right behind me. You shouldn't have come here. I spun around. But nobody was there. Then the attic door above us slowly creaked open by itself. And something heavy began crawling down the stairs. That was the moment we realized the stories about the abandoned house were true. But to understand how we got trapped inside that nightmare, you need to know how it all started. My name is Ethan Parker. And this happened last fall in Ohio. There were 4 of us. Me, Tyler, Mason, and Caleb. We had been friends since middle school. We did everything together. Basketball, camping, video games, and dumb stuff we probably shouldn't have done. Like exploring abandoned places. Tyler loved scary stories more than anyone else. He was always watching ghost videos online. Always trying to prove ghosts were real. So when he heard about the old house on Willow Creek Road, he became obsessed with it. People around town called it the Hollow House. Nobody had lived there in over 20 years. Some people said a family disappeared inside. Others said they died. Nobody knew the full story. But everyone agreed on one thing. Stay away from that house. Especially at night. Of course, Tyler thought that made it even cooler. It's just an old building, he kept saying. There's no such thing as ghosts. Caleb wasn't so sure. My cousin went there once, he told us at lunch one day. He said he heard voices inside. Tyler laughed. Your cousin also thinks Bigfoot lives in Kentucky. Mason grinned. I mean, maybe he does. We all laughed. But Caleb didn't. He's serious, he said quietly. He said something chased him out. Tyler leaned forward. Perfect. We're going Friday night. I should have said no. I really should have. But we were teenagers. And stupid. Friday came fast. That night, Tyler picked us up in his truck. The whole drive there felt strange. The farther we got from town, the quieter everything became. No streetlights. No houses. Just empty roads and trees. Then we saw it. The house stood alone on top of a small hill. Dark. Rotting. Broken windows staring down at us like empty eyes. Even from outside, it looked wrong. Like it didn't belong there anymore. Tyler smiled. Awesome. Yeah, Mason muttered. Awesome. We grabbed our flashlights and headed up the hill. The grass around the house was dead. Crunching beneath our shoes. The front porch sagged badly. One side looked close to collapsing. And the front door hung slightly open. That's not creepy at all, Caleb whispered. Tyler pushed the door wider. The old hinges groaned loudly. Inside smelled like mold and wet wood. Dust floated through the flashlight beams. The house was bigger than it looked outside. A long hallway stretched through the center. Rooms sat on both sides. Everything inside looked frozen in time. Old chairs. Broken picture frames. A grandfather clock standing silently against the wall. And family photos. Lots of family photos. But something about them bothered me. Every face in the pictures had scratched out eyes. "Okay," Mason said quietly. "I officially hate this place." Tyler laughed nervously. Someone probably vandalized them. Maybe. But it didn't feel that simple. We explored the downstairs first. Most of the rooms were empty. But strange things kept happening. Small things. Easy to ignore at first. A door slowly swinging shut by itself. Footsteps above us even though nobody was upstairs. Cold spots in certain rooms. And whispers. Very faint whispers. At first, I thought it was the wind. Until I realized. The whispers sounded like people talking. Caleb heard it too. "You guys hear that?" We stopped moving. The whispering faded away. Tyler forced a smile. "Old houses make noise." Then we heard it clearly. "Leave." The voice came from upstairs. All four of us froze. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Then Mason said what all of us were thinking. "We should go." But Tyler shook his head. "No way. Someone's probably messing with us." He started toward the stairs. I grabbed his arm. "Tyler, seriously." "Relax," he said. "I'll prove it." The stairs creaked loudly as we climbed. Every step sounded too loud in the silence. At the top floor, the hallway stretched into darkness. Doors lined both sides. Some open. Some closed. The air up there felt colder. Way colder. Then Caleb stopped suddenly. "Guys." He pointed his flashlight toward the wall. Words had been scratched into the wallpaper. "Don't look up." A heavy feeling settled in my stomach. Mason swallowed hard. "Okay. Not funny anymore." Then, thump. Something hit the ceiling above us. We all jumped. "There's another floor." I whispered. Tyler pointed upward. "Attic." Thump. Another loud sound. Like something moving around up there. Caleb backed away. "Nope. Absolutely not." But Tyler already moved toward the attic stairs. Probably raccoons. The attic door was small and covered in dust. Tyler grabbed the string hanging from it. "You ready?" he asked with a grin. Nobody answered. He pulled the string. The attic stairs folded down slowly. Creak. A horrible smell drifted down. Rotten. Wet. Like something dead. Mason covered his nose. "Oh my God." Tyler aimed his flashlight upward. The beam disappeared into darkness. "Hello," he called. No answer. Then, we heard breathing. Slow breathing. Coming from the attic. Not animal breathing. Human breathing. Tyler's smile finally disappeared. "Did you guys hear that?" Before anyone answered, something moved fast across the attic floor. Bang! The sound shook the ceiling. Then silence. Complete silence. I whispered, "Let's leave. Right now." And honestly, we almost did. But that's when Caleb noticed something strange near the attic stairs. A small photo frame covered in dust. He picked it up slowly. The picture showed a family standing in front of the same house. Mother, father, little girl. But behind them, inside the upstairs window, there was another face staring out. A pale face with a huge smile. And the worst part, it wasn't in the other photos downstairs. It only appeared in this one. "What the heck is that?" Mason whispered. Suddenly, thump, something slammed directly above us. So hard the attic stairs shook violently. Then we heard it again. Breathing. Closer now. Directly above the attic door. And then, a little girl's voice whispered from the darkness above us. "Found you." The moment we heard the little girl's voice, Caleb dropped the picture frame. It smashed against the floor. Crack. We all stumbled backward away from the attic stairs. Nobody wanted to look up. Nobody wanted to move. Then, something inside the attic laughed softly. Not a happy laugh. A cold laugh. Like someone pretending to be a child. Tyler slowly pointed his flashlight upward. The beam shook badly in his hand. "Who's up there?" he called. No answer. Only silence. Then came the sound again. Scratch. Something dragging slowly across the attic floor. Right above us. Mason grabbed my arm tightly. "Ethan, we need to leave right now." I nodded fast. For once, even Tyler looked scared. "Yeah," he whispered. "Let's go." We turned and hurried down the hallway. The old floor creaked under every step. Nobody talked. We just wanted out. Fast. But halfway down the stairs, the grandfather clock downstairs suddenly started chiming. Bong, bong, bong. The loud sound echoed through the entire house. We froze. "That clock wasn't working before," Caleb whispered. Bong, bong, bong. Then every door downstairs slammed shut at once. Bang, bang, bang. Mason jumped so hard he nearly fell down the stairs. Nope, nope, nope. We rushed the rest of the way down. The house suddenly felt alive. The walls creaked loudly. The floor vibrated slightly beneath our feet. And somewhere upstairs, we heard running. Fast footsteps. Like someone sprinting through the hallway above us. Except, there was no way a person could move that fast. Tyler ran to the front door and grabbed the handle. He pulled hard. Nothing. "It's stuck again," he shouted. Caleb shoved him aside and tried too. The door wouldn't move. Panic spread across all our faces. "Move!" Mason yelled. He rammed his shoulder into the door. Bang! The wood shook but stayed closed. Then, we heard footsteps slowly walking down the stairs behind us. Step, step, step. Nobody turned around at first. We were too scared. But the steps kept getting closer. Step, step, step. Finally, Tyler raised his flashlight toward the staircase. The light revealed nothing at first. Just darkness. Then, a pale hand slowly gripped the stair railing. My heart nearly stopped. Another hand appeared. Then a face. A little girl. Maybe 8 years old. She wore an old white dress covered in dirt. Her hair hung over most of her face. But her smile was huge. Too huge. And her eyes looked completely black. Caleb backed into the wall. "Oh my God." The girl tilted her head. "You came into my house," she whispered. Nobody answered. The girl took another slow step downward. Then another. Tyler whispered, "This isn't real." The girl suddenly stopped smiling. Her face changed instantly. Now she looked angry. Very angry. "You shouldn't have opened the attic." The lights from our flashlights flickered violently. The whole house groaned loudly around us. Then the girl screamed. The sound was horrible. Not human. A loud screech that echoed through every room. We all covered our ears. The windows shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Then the girl vanished. Just gone. The staircase was empty again. What the heck was that? Mason shouted. Before anyone answered, something slammed hard against the kitchen wall. Bang! Then another wall. Bang! Like something huge was moving inside the house. The lights flickered again. Then all our flashlights went out at once. Darkness swallowed everything. Jake screamed somewhere beside me. "I can't see." I fumbled with my flashlight. My hands shook badly. Then, in the darkness, we heard breathing. Heavy breathing. Very close. Something brushed past my shoulder. Cold. Wet. I nearly screamed. Then Tyler's flashlight suddenly flickered back on. The weak beam lit up the room. And we saw it. A tall figure standing in the hallway. Not the little girl. This thing was much bigger. Its body looked twisted. Its arms hung too low. Its neck bent sideways at an unnatural angle. And its face. No eyes. Just a stretched smile. The thing twitched suddenly. Then charged toward us. Fast. Run. Tyler screamed. We scattered instantly. Mason and Caleb ran toward the kitchen. Tyler grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the living room. The creature crashed into the wall behind us. Wood exploded everywhere. We sprinted through the dusty room. The old furniture blocked our path. Behind us, the creature crawled across the ceiling like a spider. Its limbs cracked loudly with every movement. I looked back for 1 second. Big mistake. The creature dropped from the ceiling directly behind Tyler. I screamed, "Look out!" Tyler turned just as the creature grabbed his jacket. He slammed into the floor. "Help!" I grabbed a broken chair nearby and swung it hard. Crack! The chair smashed against the creature's shoulder. It let out a horrible screech. Tyler kicked free and scrambled backward. "Go!" I shouted. We ran into the kitchen. Mason and Caleb stood near the back door trying to force it open. "It's stuck too." Caleb yelled. Of course it was. Nothing in that house wanted us to leave. The creature's footsteps echoed closer. Slow now. Almost calm. Like it knew we were trapped. Then, a radio sitting on the kitchen counter suddenly turned on by itself. Static filled the room. K-ah! Everyone froze. The static slowly cleared. And a voice came through. Soft. Weak. "Don't trust the girl." The voice crackled badly. "She's not alone." Then the radio died. Silence again. Tyler stared at it. What was that? Nobody knew. Then we heard the little girl laughing upstairs again. Except now, other voices were laughing with her. More than one. Mason whispered, "There are more of them." The kitchen lights flickered faintly overhead. And for one brief second, we saw shadows moving outside the windows. Tall shadows. Standing around the house. Watching us. Caleb backed away slowly. No way. Then something tapped softly on the kitchen window. Tap, tap, tap. We turned together. A pale face stared at us from outside. Smiling. Another appeared beside it. Then another. More faces slowly surrounded every window. Adults. Children. All smiling. All staring silently at us. The little girl's voice echoed through the house again. "You can stay with us forever." The front door suddenly burst open upstairs. Bang! Wind roared through the house. The walls began shaking violently. Dust filled the air. And from above us, we heard dozens of footsteps running down the stairs at once, coming straight toward the kitchen. The footsteps thundered through the house. Fast. Heavy. Too many to count. Every stair creaked violently as whatever lived inside the abandoned house rushed toward us. Mason backed into the kitchen counter. "We're dead," he whispered. "No, we're not." Tyler shouted, even though his voice shook badly. The smiling faces outside the windows stayed perfectly still. Watching us. Waiting. Then the kitchen lights exploded. Pop. Glass rained down around us. Darkness swallowed the room again. Only our flashlights remained. And even those flickered weakly. The footsteps stopped just outside the kitchen door. Silence. Complete silence. Nobody moved. Nobody even breathed. Then slowly, the kitchen door creaked open by itself. Creak. The hallway outside was pitch black. But we could hear breathing. A lot of breathing. The little girl's voice whispered softly. "Why are you hiding?" Tyler grabbed a knife from the counter. It looked tiny in his shaking hand. "We need another way out," he whispered. Caleb pointed toward the basement door near the refrigerator. "What about down there?" Mason looked horrified. "The basement." "We don't have a choice." Caleb snapped. A dark shape suddenly moved across the hallway outside. Fast. Too fast. That was enough for us. Tyler yanked the basement door open. A terrible smell rushed upward immediately. Rotten wood. Wet dirt. Something worse underneath it. But we still rushed down the stairs. The moment we entered the basement, the kitchen door upstairs slammed shut. Bang! The sound echoed through the entire house. The basement was freezing cold. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness. Tiny pipes rattled overhead. Our flashlights barely lit the room. Old shelves lined the walls. Rusty tools hung from nails. And strange symbols had been painted across the floor. "What is this place?" Mason whispered. Then Caleb pointed toward the far wall. "There's another door." We moved carefully toward it. The floor felt soft beneath our shoes. Almost wet. Tyler aimed his flashlight downward. And froze. The floor wasn't wet. It was covered in old dark stains. Stains that looked a lot like dried blood. "Guys," Tyler whispered. I looked around slowly. That's when I noticed the scratches. Hundreds of scratches covering the basement walls. Like people had clawed at them. Trying to escape. Then we heard the little girl laughing again. Except this time. It came from downstairs with us. Right behind us. We spun around. Nothing there. But the basement stairs were now gone. Just gone. The wall where the stairs had been was solid wood now. No doorway. No exit. Mason started panicking. No, 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 no. He slammed his hands against the wall. The stairs were right here. Tyler grabbed him. "Calm down." "How am I supposed to calm down?" Mason shouted. Then something moved in the darkness beside the shelves. A tall shadow. Watching us. Its glowing eyes slowly blinked. Then another pair appeared beside it. And another. More shapes stepped out slowly. The smiling people from the windows upstairs. Only now we could see them clearly. Their skin looked pale and stretched. Their mouths hung unnaturally wide. And their eyes. Completely black. The little girl stepped forward between them. "You opened the attic," she said softly. Her smile slowly widened. "So now you belong here too." Tyler raised the kitchen knife. "Stay back." The girl giggled. Then all the creatures rushed toward us at once. We ran screaming across the basement. The creatures crawled over shelves and walls like spiders. Their bones cracked loudly as they moved. One grabbed Caleb's backpack and yanked him backward. He screamed, "Help!" Tyler turned and slashed at the creature with the knife. The blade cut its arm. Black liquid splattered onto the floor. The creature shrieked horribly and let go. We kept running deeper into the basement. The only path left was the small door at the far end. Tyler slammed into it hard. It burst open. We stumbled inside and quickly slammed it shut behind us. The creatures hit the other side immediately. Bang! 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 The old door shook violently. "Hold it!" Tyler yelled. We all pushed against it. The creatures scratched and slammed against the wood non-stop. But then, the room around us lit up slightly. A dim blue glow. I turned slowly. And realized where we were. A hidden room. Small. Dusty. And filled with old newspaper clippings. Photos covered the walls. Pictures of missing people. Dozens of them. Some photos looked decades old. Others looked recent. Then Caleb found a large newspaper pinned to the wall. He read the headline aloud. "Family murdered inside Hollow House." Mason swallowed hard. "What?" Caleb kept reading. 23 years ago, police found an entire family dead inside the house. Parents. Grandparents. Children. A horrible feeling settled in my chest. What happened to them? Caleb's face turned pale. "It says, nobody knows." Tyler pointed toward another part of the wall. "Look at this." There were drawings everywhere. Crayon drawings. Made by children. But every drawing showed the same thing. A tall smiling figure standing beside the house. Watching people through windows. Watching from the attic. Watching from underground. Then I noticed one drawing that looked newer than the others. It showed 4 boys standing inside the house. Us. My blood ran cold. That's impossible. The creatures outside suddenly stopped banging. Silence filled the room again. Then the little girl's voice spoke softly through the door. "He's awake." The walls around us creaked loudly. Something massive moved somewhere beneath the floor. The entire hidden room shook slightly. Then, we heard breathing. Deep breathing. Coming from underneath us. Mason backed away slowly. "What is under the house?" Nobody answered. Because at that moment, the floorboards cracked. A huge pale hand burst through the wood and grabbed Caleb's leg. He screamed louder than I'd ever heard before. The floor collapsed beneath him. He disappeared into darkness. Caleb! I shouted. We dropped to the floor and grabbed his arms. Something below was pulling him hard. Very hard. Caleb cried in panic. It's got me. I looked down into the hole. And I wish I hadn't. Far below us, a giant face stared upward from the darkness. Smiling. Its eyes slowly opened wider. Too wide. Its mouth stretched across nearly its whole face. And dozens of human hands crawled across its skin like insects. The thing beneath the house spoke in a deep, broken voice. Stay. The pull on Caleb became stronger. Tyler screamed, Pull him, UP. We pulled with everything we had. The creature below growled loudly. The entire house shook violently. Wood cracked everywhere. Then suddenly, snap! Caleb slipped free. We all fell backward onto the floor. The giant hand vanished back into the darkness below. And the hole slowly closed by itself. Like the floor was healing. Nobody spoke. We just stared. Breathing hard. Terrified. Then, the hidden room door slowly creaked open behind us. The little girl stood there smiling. Except now, she wasn't alone. The tall smiling creature stood behind her. And dozens more shapes filled the hallway. The girl tilted her head. You were never supposed to leave. Then all the lights in the hidden room went completely black. And something huge started crawling toward us through the darkness.